Hey, remember when you were a kid and you had so much fun hanging on the monkey bars? I bet you never would have thought that'd be the secret to fixing your shoulder pain. I'm Dr. Laubal from Back to Health, and in this video, we're talking about using one simple exercise as an at-home strategy to cure your shoulder pain and keep your shoulders feeling great. Now, I can't take credit for the genius insights presented on this topic, as they were first discovered by Dr. Stephen Kirsch, a 35-year veteran orthopedic surgeon. He outlined his ideas and protocols in this book right here, Shoulder Pain, the Solution and Prevention. In this book, Dr. Kirsch discusses the most common cause of shoulder pain called subacromial impingement syndrome. Subacromial impingement syndrome is a condition of the shoulder wherein the subacromial space is decreased. The subacromial space is the area between the acromion process and the head of the humerus. And it's in this space where we find the rotator cuff tendons and the subacromial bursa. When this space right here is decreased, it causes pinching and irritation of the rotator cuff tendons and the subacromial bursa. This causes the rotator cuff tendons to get very swollen and painful, and it can even lead to them eventually fraying and tearing. Additionally, when this subacromial bursa gets inflamed, it can be very, very painful. The tendons and bursa can get so inflamed that you feel like you can hardly raise your arm, and laying on your shoulder to sleep is excruciatingly painful. It's impossible. For more detail on subacromial impingement syndrome, I suggest you read Dr. Kirsch's book, as he explains in detail the physiology of the shoulder and how one simple at-home exercise, passive straight arm hanging, can fix 90% of shoulder pain problems. As a chiropractor, the best thing I love about this exercise is not only the benefit I've personally received in keeping my own shoulders feeling great, but passive straight arm hanging is also great for decompressing the spine and helping to alleviate back pain conditions as well. But before we dive into showing you how to do this therapy at home, let's just discuss a couple of contraindications to doing this exercise. The only two things in the book that are discussed that would keep you from doing this exercise are severe osteoporosis and a history of chronic shoulder dislocation. Other than that, you should be hanging for better health. What if I have a partial or a full thickness rotator cuff tear? It doesn't matter. Dr. Kirsch talks in depth about this in his book, in his own experience in recovering from a full thickness tear, all by passive straight arm hanging and a few simple exercises that he does at home. But my shoulder really hurts. I can barely raise my arm. In the beginning, you may need to modify your approaches to hanging and starting out very lightly, but you're not going to cause any further damage, even if it's painful to hang. In addition to hanging, in the beginning, we recommend using things like NSAIDs, like Tylenol, ibuprofen, also icing, and of course, the Class 4 medical laser therapy that we provide at Back to Health. So what are you going to need at home to do this exercise? Not much. That's the best part. You just need a place to hang. We found the easiest and most economical way to do this is to purchase one of the doorway mounted chin-up bars. You can get them at popular online retailers for less than 30 bucks. Certainly you can buy more expensive pull-up bar equipment or make something on your own out of 1-inch pipe if you'd like. Other than that, the only thing some people need is a set of wrist straps. It's not uncommon to have weak hand strength that keeps you from adequately hanging. If that is the case, you can get a set of wrist straps that reduce strain on your hands and allow you to hang longer, making sure that you receive the full benefits of the treatment. Again, you can find these at common online retailers. Now, let's take a look at how we go about doing these exercises at home. Passive straight arm hanging can be extremely beneficial in the acute phase of dealing with shoulder pain. When you're really hurting, it may seem counterintuitive, but getting up there and hanging and stretching will make all the difference. Now, when we start hanging when we're in a lot of pain, we have to ease our way into it. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to do what's called partial loading. So we're going to keep our feet on the ground and we're going to sink our bodies down to the point where we start feeling a nice stretch and we get right up to that pain point. That's where we want to stop. We don't want to overdo it. We don't want to push through the pain. We just want to get up to that pain. All we're going to do is we're going to hang here for up to 30 seconds. Now, once we hang up to 30 seconds, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do 30 seconds of ballistic stretching. So we're going to come down off the bars and we're just going to do random shoulder movements. So this is what Michael Phelps does before he gets in the pool at the Olympics, right? So he'll do some of these here, just across the body. Maybe we get into doing some rotations. If you're in a lot of discomfort, maybe the best you can do is do what's called pot stirs. Just going to let that arm dangle, go clockwise, go counterclockwise. We can bring the arm up a little bit here, okay? And then finally, we can do things like just bouncing around. But that's all ballistic stretching. So we're going to hang for 30 seconds, and we're going to do ballistic stretching for 30 seconds. And we're going to do this for 5 to 10 sets. So up to 10 minutes a day of passive straight arm hanging when you're in acute pain. But again, the key points are keep your feet on the ground. We're going to partial load the shoulders. We're going to load to the point where we feel pain, and we're going to hold there. Okay. Now, you may have so much pain in your shoulder that you can't even raise your arm up. That's okay. Use your good arm if you can to help get your hands up to the bars for that passive straight arm hanging. And maybe this is all you can do. Maybe you can barely load 5-10 pounds onto that shoulder. That's fine. Do it day in and day out, and over time, you're going to see that you're going to be able to load more and more weight onto that painful shoulder as the pain recedes. Now, once you get past the point where you're in a lot of discomfort and you're entering to what we call the subacute phase, that's where we want to start testing the waters with what we call full body weight loading. So in that particular situation, we're going to be grabbing a hold of the bars. Again, we're mostly out of discomfort. Maybe we've got some residual tightness in the shoulders. We actually do want to try to allow full body weight to go on top of our shoulders. So we're going to pick our feet up off the ground. Now, this is where it can become somewhat difficult for people with weak hands, and I do recommend those wrist straps. Certainly something to consider. Basically, when you're doing this same thing, you're going to hang for 30 to 60 seconds. Now we're working up to maybe a full minute of hanging if you can. 30 to 60 seconds of hanging. We're still going to follow that with 30 seconds of ballistic stretching. Now we want to be doing this for approximately 10 to 15 minutes per day. So ideally, we're doing 15 minutes of hanging at full body weight every day, even when we're feeling better, for the maintenance of our shoulders and keeping our shoulders in really good health. Now, passive straight arm hanging is a simple and effective home remedy to help your shoulders feel better than they felt in a long time. I ask you to commit to doing this on a daily basis for at least a couple to a few weeks. Even when you're in a high level of shoulder pain, commit to doing it. You will see the benefit in there. And pretty soon you will find that you're having so much fun hanging around. You'll look for places to hang. You'll be with your kids at the playground hanging. You'll be hanging off tree branches. And you'll be figuring out how to work passive straight arm hanging into your daily routines. Hopefully you found this video to be beneficial. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to bring them to me at your next appointment, or you can shoot me an email. I'll do everything in my power to answer and reply, so that way we can do what we can to help you guys get back to health.